It's the most powerful show on television. High drama with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Post Tech. Today we move on to episode number 14, coming off of a very fun weekend of racing out the mile-and-a-half at Kansas Speedway. We were seeing 5 wide passes, double overtime in the Truck Series race. It was a fun one, but first off, let's talk about that big wreck with Casey Mears, which showed shades of Matt Kenseth's crash at Pocono last season in the second dual race on the Cup Series side. Fortunately, because of efforts put in by the sanctioning body to reinforce the B post of these race cars on all national divisions, they made that mandatory middle of last season after Kenseth's wreck. Mears climbed out of that number 60 truck uninjured. As you recall, he got up into the wall, tumbled, was hit on the driver's side part of the roof by the 30 truck of Brennan Poole, but the roof did not collapse in. So while it was a very scary accident, Casey Mears went completely uninjured. So he will be racing this weekend at the Loudon Road course in that number 60 truck as well. This was more or less the first real test of the improvements to the cars that NASCAR made mandatory after last season's incident at Pocono, and it worked absolutely as advertised and delivered all the results that the sanctioning body wanted, and it's a great step forward for our sport. Also, the battle back and forth between Sheldon Creed and Matt Crafton continued at Kansas Speedway, with Creed dropping out with that engine failure and Crafton scoring yet another top 5. It seems like if one of them performs up front, the other one drops out. And if they both finish a race, they're normally right next to each other. So really, it's been either back and forth or nobody gains on each other. So we'll see how long this can continue before one of them really pulls ahead and establishes a good point lead. But then again, just a couple races from now, we'll have the reset for the playoffs, and then all bets are off as we have 16 drivers competing for the championship. Also, Grant Enfinger finally broke through at the Kansas Speedway in double overtime, which was very dramatic there at the end, to take his first Camping World Truck Series victory of the 2021 season after coming remarkably close all throughout the year. And it moved him up to third in regular season point standings. And he's ready to take advantage of any mistakes that Sheldon Creed or Matt Crafton could make over the course of this regular season, and is absolutely in the hunt for that regular season title in the number 98 truck for ThorSport. Back onto the NASCAR Cup Series side of things, how about this rookie class that we have in 2021? We have 5 drivers who started the year declared for Rookie of the Year honors, those being Alfredo, Harrison Burton, Kaz Grala, Justin Haley, and Chad Fincham. And so far, 3 of those 5 have taken home wins already through just the first 18 races of the season. Justin Haley has showed pretty good speed throughout the year. It seems like he just has absolutely no luck and gets taken out in every race he runs in within the first 10 or so laps. And Chad Fincham, on the other hand, has not even made a race this season, DNQ'd for all of his attempts so far. But Harrison Burton, Kaz Grala, and Anthony Alfredo have all scored wins this year. It's a remarkable story going forward, but so far, Kaz Grala is the only rookie with a win this season in the top 30 in regular season point standings. So right now, if we were to begin the playoffs tomorrow, he would have the Rookie of the Year honors locked up, because Alfredo and the 95 car of Harrison Burton need to get up into that top 30 to be playoff eligible. But it's still a very strong rookie class to pull off this many wins so far this season. Remarkable performance, and considering that many came into this season thinking that this year would be a rather weak rookie class compared to especially last year, this season has not disappointed. The rookies are just about as good as the veterans like Harvick. For instance, Harrison Burton, Anthony Alfredo, and Kaz Grala have the same amount of wins this season as Kevin Harvick. Harvick's just been beating them on simple consistency, which is, I guess what you could say, what makes him into a veteran and a true legend of our sport. Is not only is he able to take home victories, but he's also able to rebound when things get tough. On the other hand, of the elation that Kaz Grala experienced with his fantastic first career win, It was just 4 years ago when Matt Crafton went tumbling down the back straightaway at Daytona, and Kaz Grala squeezed through the madness to take his first career Camping World Truck Series win for GMS Racing. He's experienced a lot of hardship getting up to the top level, especially with the whole JGL racing situation that kind of left him without a ride back in 2018. But his drive and determination to get up to the top level has finally paid off with his first career Cup Series win coming last weekend out at the Kansas Speedway in remarkable fashion. Even in that race, he kind of had to dodge a couple wrecks and some dicey moments and had to hold off some very strong contenders there at the end, in particular Ross Chastain and Clint Boyer, who were coming there at the end of the race. But the 50 car, the driver Kaz Grala, was smart enough to manipulate their runs and stay ahead of them, in particular taking the clean air off the front end of the 55 car Chastain there at the end. Those final few laps kept taking the air away. Chastain couldn't get the bite mid-corner, and Kaz Grala ended up taking home a well-deserved victory. While we had elation for the number 50 team, we had massive disappointment yet again for the number 24 team of William Byron. They led 29 laps and absolutely dominated until he started to fade just a little bit there in the final stage and got involved in a crash with 31 laps to go that ended up knocking him out of the Bushy McBush Race 400, causing him to DNF and finish all the way back in 28th position. Byron currently is in a contract season with Hendrick Motorsports and currently sits 31st in regular season point standings, minus 171 points from point leader Kevin Harvick. Even knowing we have 8 races left until the playoffs, Byron is in a must-win situation at the moment. We've already had 16 different winners so far this year, but only 12 are locked in. So the opportunity to point your way in is still open, but Byron is too far back to do so with the amount of races left on the year. So Byron, so far in his Cup Series career, has never made the playoffs, and he's also never won a race, even though he's come remarkably close to winning a race, both at Kansas back in 2019 when he got beat out by fuel strategy by the 77 team of Quinn Half, and then just recently at Kansas. Had probably the dominant car, but ended up wrecking out, and Kaz Grala took home the victory. But it looks like William Byron's going to have to break into that win column to get into the top 16 this year and make the playoffs for the first time of his NASCAR Cup Series career, because this is his 4th full-time season, and he is still yet to make the playoffs in his young career. So you have to wonder if Rick Hendrick might be looking the other way if the performance doesn't start to come together for the 24 team, because this is a contract year for Byron. You might need to expect potentially a replacement for next season if things don't get at least a little better throughout the playoffs. Say he doesn't make the playoffs, but he does finally get that first career win, then I could see a contract extension. But also, while we're discussing point standings, right now we have 3 past champions of NASCAR's Cup Series on the outside looking in of the playoffs. Those being Brad Keselowski, the 2012 Series titleist. He's 12 points from making the playoff cutoff right now. Kurt Busch is 38 points out. He's in must-win territory. And Clint Boyer, the 2019 Series champion, is 22 points on the outside looking in. So you really have to worry about Kurt Busch on back, because Busch is 38 points out. That's 38 whole positions that he needs to make up in at least one race on the 16th place runner of Eric Jones right now. And that's a very tough feat to pull off without just flat out going to a race weekend and scoring the victory. But Kurt Busch won last year at Gateway in the inaugural Cup Series event there. We got Gateway coming up in about a month or so here. Could be Kurt Busch going 2 in a row there to finally solidify a playoff spot in the 2021 season. Clint Boyer's got a couple more road courses coming up. He's got Loudon, the Oval, and the road course. He could pull off a double victory there, because we all know how good he is on the 1 mile, the magic mile, Clint Boyer is. And Brad Keselowski could, quite frankly, win anywhere we go. He's that kind of talent. So there's still great opportunities for those 3 past champions to make it in, but they can't let it go. They have to keep pushing it to make the playoffs this year, because if they slack just a little bit, one of these youngsters like an Eric Jones or a Tyler Reddick or an Alex Bowman are going to score up a victory, and it's going to lock those drivers out of making the playoffs this season. Austin Dillon has been in a free fall in the point standings recently. In the last 8 races, he has dropped from 5th to 32nd in the regular season standings after DNFing in pretty much every single race he runs in and missing the show at the Bristol dirt track. Kansas looked like an opportunity to get the season back on track. He was running up front, even scored the pole, but yet again, Dillon was involved in a crash that was not his making and ended up leaving with a torn-up race car. The number 3 team is in must-win territory now to make the playoffs with just 8 races remaining in the regular season, setting 32nd right now in points. They have the pace to do it. They proved that by running up front at Kansas and scoring the pole on time, proving that they have at least the fastest car of the field at mile and a halfs. But going off of recent weekends, they need a whole lot of luck to play into their favor as well, because they have not had luck at all. Dillon keeps getting caught up in wrecks that were not his making, and it seems to be dropping him about 5 spots in the standings every single week. Towards the front of the field, it's looking like, yet again, Kevin Harvick might just run away with the regular season championship. Currently sets 26 points above second-place runner Joey Logano, who currently has not really shown enough speed to get the job done and take home this regular season title come Daytona. As Kansas proved, even when Kevin Harvick gets in trouble, they still have the ability to rebound and pull off a top 10 finish. So they've really been unbeatable throughout the entire 2021 season so far. His main competition last season was Ryan Blaney, who put together a great regular season with multiple wins, including a Brickyard 400, carrying him to the regular season title with the number 12 team. This year, however, has gone completely winless in that number 12 car and sets 20th in regular season standings. In fact, Blaney is in must-win territory to make the playoffs. An incredible fall from the 2020 season for the number 12 team. They have just not shown any speed whatsoever this year. They led a couple laps at Kansas, but that's really been the height of their season so far. They need to get that ship righted. And if they can't get it righted this season, they might be able to with the next-gen car. But Blaney's coming up into a contract year next season. Even though things went so well in 2020, it's looking like the chemistry might be falling apart between him and crew chief Todd Gordon potentially, because there really has not been very many other factors as of recent that you could attribute the number 12 team losing some of its front-running capability, because the 22 and 2 cars have been up front almost every single week, and even the 02 car of Sam Hornish, their 4th car that they showed up to the Brickyard with, was rather competitive. Speaking of Penske's 4th car, we will be seeing Scott McLaughlin, the Supercar champion and NTT Data IndyCar Series regular now, at the Loudon Road Course back in the 02 for Team Penske. So that ought to be fun. He scored a top 5 in his first ever Cup Series outing at Circuit of the Americas earlier this season. And we'll also be seeing the return of Jack Hawksworth to NASCAR's Cup Series after the injuries that he suffered at Sonoma Raceway. He's obviously been running IMSA for the last couple months. He's been fully recovered, but it will be his Cup Series return. And in other news, Brendan Gaughan Motorsports failed to make the Brickyard 400 out at Indy with driver Noah Gragson. They have decided to refocus their efforts on trying to make the Southern 500 at Darlington with that number 62 car now, keeping their count of races that they plan on running this season at 6 events. That's due to Noah Gragson wanting to keep his Rookie of the Year honor eligibility for next season. If you run 7 events in a season, you lose that eligibility for Rookie of the Year honors. So Noah wants to keep that for next season. Obviously, we don't know who BGM's driver is going to be next year, because there's rumors they might get a partnership with Bill McAnally, switch to Toyota. I don't think Noah Gragson would follow with that, but this year is just a 6-race deal with Noah. They showed up at Talladega, they made the field, but they wrecked out early. They tried to make the field at the Brickyard, and they didn't do it on time, so they've added the Southern 500 to their list of races this season. NASCAR has slightly modified the green-white checker rule for road courses. Only 1 attempt is allowed for road course events and national divisions. That's just to ensure that the field doesn't essentially run out of gas due to too many attempts, because road course laps, as you may know, are a whole lot larger than the laps we may have at, say, at Bristol, and we have to go into 3 overtimes. But going into 3 overtimes at, say, Road America, a 4-mile racetrack, you'd have plenty of cars running out of gas. So NASCAR doesn't want to see that kind of situation happen. So we're still going to get 1 attempt to kind of dish out who will win the race with a short dash to the finish, but it's not going to allow the race to go too long where the entire field has to pit multiple times just to get to the end. And so, folks, now, just after a quick commercial break, we'll be right back to give you the highlights of the ISM Connect 250 from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI Series. by Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval, and by Anthony's Online Simulation League. Welcome back, and before we get on to the highlights of the ISM Connect 250 from the Loudon Road Course, gotta give you the race analysis. The race took place over the course of 65 laps around the 1.6-mile road course in New Hampshire, with stage number 1 ending on lap 21 and stage 2 ending on lap 42, with the stages almost split up into perfect thirds. And so, folks, now let's christen this race with our intros. In the regular season point standings, entering the race here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course, Matt Crafton currently holds the point lead by 26 points above Sheldon Creed after taking the point lead following Kansas because Creed suffered a blown engine, while Matt Crafton took home a top 5 finish. Grant Enfinger, after winning last week at Kansas, has moved up to third in the regular season point standings, 32 points out of the lead. Casey Mears currently sets fourth after his horrifying tumble down the front straightaway at Kansas Speedway. He is now 59 points out of the point lead. Christian Eckes and Dawson Cram are tied 60 points behind point leader Matt Crafton. Eckes gets the tiebreaker with his 2 wins on the season, setting 5th in the standings with Cram in 6th. Ben Rhodes now is 7th in the point standings, 63 points out of the lead. Ty Gibbs is 8th in the standings, 74 points out of the lead. Ty Dillon is 9th, 75 points back. And Austin Theriault, the 2017 ARCA Menard Series champion, sets 10th in the regular season point standings, 79 points out of the point lead. In the playoff standings, Matt Crafton, Christian Eckes, Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed, Grant Enfinger, Casey Mears, Ben Rhodes, Ty Gibbs, Ryan Truex, and Stuart Friesen are all locked into the playoffs via their wins so far in the 2021 season. Dawson Cram currently sets best of the rest, 49 points above the cutoff line, then Ty Dillon, 34 points above, Austin Theriault, 30, Timothy Peters, 29, John Hunter Nemechek, 15 points above, and Parker Kligerman just 6 points above that cutoff line. Then Zane Smith, last season's Rookie of the Year award winner, sets 6 points out of making the playoffs. Ty Majeski is 7 points out. Brett Holmes is 10 points out. And Brendan Poole is 33 points out of making the playoffs. Sam Mayer has scored the pole here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course in the number 14 truck for Tony Stewart Racing. Outside him is the number 2 of Sheldon Creed, last season's champion, trying to close that point gap up to the number 88 truck of Matt Crafton. Qualifying in third position is the number 25 truck of Michael Self, getting a great run out of that Rackley WAR number 25. Qualifying in sixth position is the 02 truck of Chris Wright for Young's Motorsports. In eighth position is the number 3 truck of Kaz Grala, fresh off of his first career NASCAR Cup Series victory last week at Kansas. The 53 truck of Jan Magnussen qualified all the way back in 19th position. The 61 truck of Max McLaughlin qualified all the way down in 22nd position. The 8 truck of Mike Skeen for Nemco Motorsports qualified in 23rd spot. The 44 truck of Jet Noland qualified in 27th. The 03 truck of Scott Lagasse Jr. qualified in 28th position. The 24 truck of Raphael Lassard qualified down in 32nd. And finally, the 45 truck of Bailey Curry qualified down in 34th position. The green flag came out in the inaugural NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course, with the 14 truck of Sam Mayer getting the advantage down in turns 1 and 2. But the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed was not done yet, as he dove into the hard braking zone of turn number 3 as the 14 truck gets just a little bit of wheel hop down into the corner. Very tight braking zone as you turn out of the oval and onto the road course layout. The 2 truck of Sheldon Creed almost makes contact with him and inches ahead of the 14 truck of Sam Mayer. Down to turn number 6. Side by side for the top spot. Farther back we have the 99 and 25 trucks of Self and Rhodes going after it. 14 truck of Sam Mayer tries to force the 2 truck of Creed wide down into turn number 8. In fact, they make contact wheel to wheel, with Sam Mayer still trying to force that number 2 truck wide, and he gets away with the top spot on the exit of turn number 10 and holds the race lead as the 25 and 2 of Self and Creed battle for second, with the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed prevailing. On lap 2, entering turn number 3, the 61 truck of Max McLaughlin goes very deep into the braking zone, makes contact with the right side of the 60, of Casey Mears going 3 wide up the hill through turn 5. Down to turn number 6. The 60 truck of Casey Mears gets the advantage by forcing the 61 of McLaughlin wide. Also on lap 2, battling side by side, the 30 truck of Brendan Poole slides up and makes contact with the 97 of Jesse Little, but they keep it together. Last week's winner, Grant Enfinger, runs in 39th position, admittedly not the greatest road course racer, but he makes a hard move down into turn number 3 into the braking zone, almost makes contact with his teammate Johnny Sauter, and forces a 3-wide move, getting around both Sauter and Stuart Friesen, picking up 2 positions with a great pass. Lap number 4, Kaz Grala gets to the inside of Ty Gibbs on the entry to turn number 3 and pressures him on the exit of turn 4, taking up the 5th position in the 3 truck for Anderson Germain Racing. On lap 6, the Geico 500 winner of Brendan Poole wheel hops it down into turn number 3 and has to run wide. Almost gets up into the dirt embankment and loses a couple spots in the process. On lap number 6, the 16 of Austin Hill and the 12 of Christian Eckes are battling side by side as the 16 tries to pull off a slide job on the 12 and slides up into the left front quarter panel of the 12 truck of Christian Eckes, taking up the position with such an aggressive move. By lap number 7, the gap from first to second of Sam Mayer to Sheldon Creed has already been extended to more than 1 second. Right now, Sam Mayer is practically running on a rail. On lap number 9, the 52 truck of Stuart Friesen makes an aggressive move in the braking zone of turn number 10, goes 3 wide with the 13 truck, doors the 13 of Johnny Sauter, slides through the dirt but keeps it going in the right direction, but loses 2 spots in the process. On lap number 12, the 4 truck of John Hunter Nemechek runs wide on the exit of turn 13 and actually gets up into the outside wall in that 4 truck for Kyle Busch Motorsports. By lap number 13, the 88 truck of Matt Crafton, who comes into this race as the point leader, is still struggling down in 27th position, while Sheldon Creed resides in 2nd. So if the race were to end right now, the point gap would be closed to less than 5 points, separating the 2 and 88 trucks. But still, Matt Crafton would come away with the point lead, but this would massively close the point gap and set us up for yet another battle as we head towards the regular season finale at Daytona. By lap 16, the number 2 truck of Sheldon Creed had started to close the gap to the 14 of Sam Mayer, but in just a few laps, the 14 truck of Sam Mayer would extend the lead once again above the 2 truck of Creed, as it looks like the driver, the number 2, might have burned up his tires a little bit trying to close the gap to the Advance Auto Parts Chevrolet. And once again, turn number 9 was a bit of a trouble area. The 56 truck of Timmy Hill slides up and makes contact with the 44 truck of Jet Noland, but they managed to keep it together without making any further contact. On lap 17, Jan Magnussen reports that his number 53 truck is handling very poorly. You see right there on the entry to turn number 3, he actually lets the 40 truck of Will Rogers by him. And the 53 truck has already dropped down to 21st position, very uncharacteristic of a road course ace such as Magnussen. By lap 18, the 02 truck of Chris Wright has finally gotten around the 18 of Ty Gibbs, taking up the 6th position for Young's Motorsports. By lap number 20, the 8 truck of Kaz Grala has closed in at just 4.5 seconds, separating him from race leader Sam Mayer. That means he has gained 3 seconds on the race leader over the course of this run, currently resides in 5th position, and may be one to watch. On lap 21, Sam Mayer, cruising around the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course with about a 1.3 second lead above the second place runner of Sheldon Creed, brings the 14 truck off of turn 13 and onto the front straightaway to win stage number 1 from the pole here at New Hampshire. Great performance out of Sam Mayer so far, with the number 2 truck of Sheldon Creed taking 2nd, Michael Self 3rd, Ben Rhodes in 4th, and Kaz Grala in 5th position. On lap 22, Sam Mayer leads the field down pit road for the first time of the day. Out of the pits, the top 5 positions remain unchanged. However, the 02 truck of Chris Wright lost about 5 spots on pit road, dropping from 6th down to 11th. On the restart for stage number 2, the number 2 truck of Sheldon Creed actually got the jump on the 14 of Sam Mayer and tried to send it in the apex of turns 1 and 2, but actually went just a little bit too wide and let the 25 truck of Michael Self down to his inside. Had an almost 3-wide battle for second as the 2 truck tries to close the door down into turn number 3, but that lets Michael Self to his inside through turns 3 and 4, and Self takes up second position in the 25 truck. After having a shot of winning the race out at Kansas in double overtime, Michael Self continues that success, carrying it into New Hampshire here today, now running in second position, trying to run down the 14 truck of Sam Mayer, who has once again ran away with the race lead. Entering turn number 9, the 97 truck of Jesse Little runs it very wide on lap 24, using up some of the brand new runoff that they put in there. Last season, if he would have tried that move, he just would have slid off into the tire barriers. On lap 25, we have a side-by-side battle for position between the 3 truck of Kaz Grala and the 99 of Ben Rhodes. Rhodes trying to stuff it in on the inside of turn 3 and clears the 3 truck of Kaz Grala. Running down the 2 of Sheldon Creed. On lap 25, we have our first caution due to an accident. Looks like the 24 truck might have tried to spin the 41, but accidentally turns himself around and gets up into the runoff, bringing out the first caution due to an accident. But fortunately did not hit anything whatsoever. That's what that runoff is for, to make sure that you do not slide off into those tire barriers, because them barriers eat up your car very quickly. On the restart on lap 28, the number 14 truck of Sam Mayer leaves some of the bottom open, entering turn number 3, allowing a side-by-side battle for the top spot to form with Michael Self down on the inside. Sam Mayer tries to use that number 25 truck as a bit of a pick, entering turn number 6, trying to shove that 25 truck up into the dirt if possible. Didn't quite do it. Still side-by-side. Up turn number 8 now, and entering turn 9, the 14 truck pulls a slide job on the 25, entering turn number 9 and now exiting 10, clearing the 25 truck of Michael Self. Once again, to hold the top spot is now the 99 truck of Ben Rhodes has closed the gap on the 25 truck after taking up third position from the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed. Lap 31, Parker Kligerman is on a move, starting the lap in 12th position, getting to the inside of Austin Hill through turns 3 and 4, taking up 11th position, then getting into a battle with the 42 truck of Carson Hocevar down into turn number 6. Exiting turn 7 right here, trying to run down that 42 truck. Down into turn 8, you see the 42 leaves open a lot of bottom as he outruns himself entering the corner. Almost had to use up some of the runoff as Kligerman still tries to pinch down that 42 truck and actually takes up the 10th position in the 75 truck for Henderson Motorsports. On lap 32, Jan Magnuson makes a move to the inside, the 60 truck of Casey Mears, through turns 1 and 2 of the oval to take up the 18th position, starting to march forward in that Camping World Chevrolet. On lap 34, the 87 truck of Timothy Peters runs wide in turn 13 and gets up into the outside wall with pretty hard contact to that right side of the Nemco number 87 truck. On lap 34, the number 97 truck of Jesse Little reports that he may be down one cylinder as that 97 truck is not running at full power. It's evident on the front straightaway how far off the pace that 97 truck really is. Does not have the straight line speed that any of the other trucks have. Certainly an engine issue on the 97 truck. By lap 36, the 14 truck of Sam Mayer has not been able to gap the 25 truck of Michael Self quite like he was able to gap Sheldon Creed in stage number 1. But it's very difficult to pass here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course, and so far Sam Mayer has been able to keep that 14 truck for TSR out front. On lap 37, the 41 truck of Dawson Cram makes some contact with the 87 and almost wrecks, using up some of the runoff in turn number 9. On lap 37, the 97 truck of Jesse Little finally comes down pit road to address the engine trouble that he's been having. They get the number 97 truck back off pit road, but he does drop one lap down in the process. By lap 37, the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs has started to drop back through the field, currently resides in 10th position, battling side by side with the 75 truck of Parker Kligerman. On lap 38, we have quite a bit of shuffling in turn number 3 as the 25 truck gets side by side with the 14, but Sam Mayer beats him on corner exit of turn 4, and the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed finds its way back in 3rd position, getting around the 99 of Ben Rhodes. On lap 40, the 61 truck of Max McLaughlin comes down pit road, for an attempted strategy stop, but because the lap times are so quick here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course, he actually drops one lap down in the process. On lap 41, we have a battle for second position between Michael Self and Sheldon Creed down into turn number 6. But Michael Self forces Creed just a little bit wide down into the corner and clears him back onto the throttle to hold second position as the 14 truck of Sam Mayer has started to get away. On lap 42, the 87 truck of Timothy Peters finally comes down pit road. As you recall, he has a lot of right side damage after getting up into the wall on the exit of turn 13. Finally cut down a tire and has to come down pit road for that issue, but drops one lap down by pitting. And on lap 42, once again, Sam Mayer with a comfortable lead above second position. Michael Self still holding it, but he's got a gap of about 1 second above the 25 truck out of turn 13. Sam Mayer wins stage number 2 here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course, winning the pole and so far sweeping both stages and leading every single lap so far. Michael Self brought the 25 truck home in second, the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed third, Ben Rhodes fourth, and Ryan Truex actually raced his way up into 5th position, getting around the 3 truck of Kaz Grala. On lap 43, once again, Sam Mayer leads the field down pit road. The only trucks that stay out are the trucks that have just recently pitted and dropped 1 lap down, so they will restart ahead of the race leader. Michael Self got a terribly slow pit stop on this cycle in the 25 truck, dropping him down to around 17th position. And with how hard it's been to pass here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course, really, his hopes of getting a top 10 finish seem to be dashed. But the first truck out of the pits was Sam Mayer, getting out ahead of Ben Rhodes, who is assumed second, then Ryan Truex in third, Sheldon Creed in fourth, and Christian Eckes taking up the 5th position. On the restart, entering turn number 3, the 33 truck of Ryan Truex runs it wide, allowing his teammate in the 12 truck to take up the 3rd position, with Eckes moving into the spot. A side-by-side battle for the top spot entering turn number 6, as Sam Mayer successfully pushes the 99 truck of Ben Rhodes wide, still holding the race lead in the 14 truck for TSR. On lap 46, the 14 truck of Sam Mayer is still being held up by the 97 of Jesse Little, who is down 1 cylinder. Mayer trying to get around him down into turn number 3. That opens up the door for the 99 truck of Ben Rhodes to go to the inside and take up the top spot. New leader for the first time in the ISM Connect 250 here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course. Ben Rhodes is now your race leader. Getting around the 97 truck of Jesse Little as well. Sam Mayer assumes 2nd position, with Christian Eckes still in 3rd. It's going to be definitely difficult for Sam Mayer to try and figure out a way around the 99 truck of Ben Rhodes, especially with this much lap traffic ahead of him, as he still has to deal with a side-by-side battle with the 12 truck of Christian Eckes. Beginning lap 47, the 12 truck of Christian Eckes gets around the 14 of Sam Mayer on the exit of turn 13. But through lap traffic, the 99 truck of Ben Rhodes in almost clean air has put a 2.4 second lead above the 2nd place runner of Christian Eckes. On lap 47, Ty Gibbs has started to charge his way through the field, making a 3-wide move to the inside of Ryan Truex and Sheldon Creed, taking up 4th position behind Sam Mayer. On lap 48, entering turn 12, Matt Crafton runs it wide in the 88 truck and lets 2 trucks by him. Still struggling to find a handle on the racetrack here at Loudon. There's a dicey moment between Johnny Sauter and Austin Hill on lap number 49. Once again, Crafton runs it wide, but the 13 truck tags the 16. Then they all stack up with the 92 truck of Austin Terrio hitting the back bumper, the 13 of Johnny Sauter. They all manage to keep it going. On lap 50, Todd Gilliland gets to the inside of Brendan Poole and Ryan Truex with a 3-wide move to take up the 7th position in the 38 truck for Front Row Motorsports. With a slight break in lap traffic, the number 99 truck of Ben Rhodes has managed to put a 3.5 second gap above the 2nd place runner of Christian Eckes. Dealing with the lap trucks of Max McLaughlin and Stephen Parsons, the 99 truck of Ben Rhodes actually allowed the 12 truck of Christian Eckes to close the gap down to just 1.4 seconds, separating 1st and 2nd position. On lap 55, the 14 truck of Sam Mayer gets to the inside of the 12 on the exit of turn 13, taking up 2nd position once again. Now with the gap from 1st to 2nd being extended out to 2.7 seconds. with just 10 laps to go. On lap 57, Sheldon Creed gets to the inside of Ty Gibbs through turns 3 and 4 and takes up the 4th position in the 2 truck for GMS. But then entering turn number 9, the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs forces it into the corner, makes contact with the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed, and retakes the 4th position in the 18 for Kyle Busch Motorsports. On lap 59, though, the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed gets back to the inside of the 18 on the entry to turn 3, and this time he clears the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs, taking up 4th position, battling side by side with the 12 truck of Christian Eckes. On lap 61, NASCAR reports that oil is leaking from the number 97 truck of Jesse Little. He's been having engine trouble all day long, and the caution flag waves with less than 5 laps to go here at New Hampshire. And with the caution flag for Jesse Little, we get a restart with just 2 laps to go here at New Hampshire, with the lap truck of Raphael Lessard separating first from second. Mayer tries to dive hard into the corner, but actually overdrives and drops back a little bit from the number 99 truck of Ben Rhodes, allowing Rhodes to gap the field by just a couple more tenths. Ty Gibbs tried to go side by side with Christian Eckes on the entry to turn number 8 and went a little bit wide, dropping back as Christian Eckes holds the 3rd position. The 14 truck of Sam Mayer just about 1 second behind the 99 of Ben Rhodes, as Rhodes now brings it off the final corner and sees the white flag with Sam Mayer almost too far out of reach. On the final lap of the race, the 52 truck of Stuart Friesen comes down pit road for a flat tire, and Sam Mayer couldn't even get around the lap truck of Raphael Lessard. Coming through the final 2 corners, the number 99 truck of Ben Rhodes steals the victory above the 14 of Sam Mayer, taking home the win in the ISM Connect 250 from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course. That is Ben Rhodes' 2nd win on the season after scoring the victory earlier this year at Phoenix. An impressive performance out of Rhodes, being only one of 2 leaders over the course of the entirety of the ISM Connect 250. It was very difficult to pass, but when it counted, Ben Rhodes took the top spot off the 14 truck of Sam Mayer and never looked back. And this has been a huge points day for Sheldon Creed, bringing that 2 truck home in 5th position, while his biggest competitor in the point standings, Matt Crafton, finished out in 25th. Also, how about this? The 53 truck of Jan Magnussen actually raced his way all the way up to 10th position on that final restart, passing a full 5 trucks. That's the most trucks passed in a 2-lap span of any competitor. And take a look at the regular season standings. Matt Crafton's point lead has been trimmed a full 20 points. Crafton only holds that top spot by 6 points above Sheldon Creed now. Once again, they're rubber banding this point lead back and forth. We now have yet another battle between the top 2 competitors in the point standings entering Watkins Glen. Then Grant Enfinger currently sets 31 points out of the point lead. Ben Rhodes, with his 2nd win of the season here at Loudon, is now only 35 points out of the point lead. The 99 truck picking up 3 spots in the standings. Christian Eckes still remains 5th in points, 38 points out of the lead. Casey Mears drops down 2 spots in points, 46 points out of the lead. Ty Gibbs moves up 1 to 7th, 53 points out of the lead. Dawson Cram lost 2 spots in the point standings, down to 8th position, 69 points out of the point lead. Ryan Truex picks up a full 4 spots in the standings, now just 80 points out of the point lead. And Ty Dillon rounds out your top 10, losing 1 spot in points, 83 points behind point leader Matt Crafton. Also, keep in mind that some competitors actually complained about the tire compound being one of the reasons why it was very difficult to pass here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course. Goodyear brought a very hard tire here to New Hampshire for the Truck Series. It's the first time this division's ever ran here, and New Hampshire no longer seals the racetrack, so it's a very rough surface. Goodyear might have brought just a little bit too hard of a tire, making it too difficult for the thing to wear out, giving the leader potentially a large advantage. That was a complaint by certain competitors and organizations, but the NASCAR Cup Series will be running substantially softer tires when we come back here next weekend on the Cup Series side. But remember, this weekend we'll be running the Cup Series on the oval, so this will most likely not be an issue. In your playoff standings, Matt Crafton, Ben Rhodes, Christian Eckes, Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed, Grant Enfinger, Casey Mears, Ty Gibbs, Ryan Truex, and Stuart Friesen are all locked into the playoffs via their wins. Dawson Cram is still the best of the rest, 33 points above the cutoff line. Ty Dillon is 19 points above, Terrio 17, Parker Kligerman 16, Timothy Peters 12, and John Hunter Nemechek 10 points above. Then last season's ARCA Menard Series titleist Brett Holmes currently sets 10 points out of making the playoffs. Zane Smith is 29 points out, that's Holmes' teammate. Then Ty Majeski is 30 points out of making the playoffs. And the Geico 500 winner in the spring of this year, Brennan Poole, currently sets 32 points out of making the playoffs in that 30 truck for On Point Motorsports. And so now, after just a quick commercial break, we'll be back right here on Post Tech for my personal favorite segment of the show, Q&A. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI series, by Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval, and by Anthony's Online Simulation League. Welcome back, and before we get on to the Q&A segment, I gotta give you the disclaimer. If I mispronounce any names or handles, I do apologize, but it's bound to happen. And so now, question number 1 from NASCAR Fan 88 Official. Could NASCAR ever use the IndyCar config of Watkins Glen? I don't exactly see it happening unless, say, Watkins Glen gets 2 dates, because NASCAR's been so satisfied with the short course over the years that it's always produced good racing by all means. It's one of our I guess you could say crown jewel road courses in many ways, because we had, Watkins Glen and Sonoma for so many years that we kind of have 2 distinct road courses that our sport identifies with. Even though we've been adding plenty of road courses over the last couple of years, those are really our 2 core ones. So I don't think NASCAR really wants to tamper with the layout of Watkins Glen, because it's really worked since 1992 when they put in the bus stop. So I would definitely say that NASCAR is satisfied with it. And even when we returned to Watkins Glen back in '86, even without that back straightaway chicane, the layout really has remained the same. Obviously, they've put in, the chicane over time and more runoff, but the racetrack is almost the exact same as it was back when we first, actually returned in '86. We ran a couple races back there in the 50s when it was gravel roads and stuff like that, but I think that NASCAR is satisfied with the current layout of Watkins Glen, unless it gets, say, 2 dates and they would move a second date to the alt layout. Number 2, could NASCAR switch back to the old Sonoma configuration, so the long course with the carousel? So, much like Watkins Glen, I could see that happen if Sonoma scores 2 dates, which I believe is more likely than Watkins Glen, New York, getting 2 dates for one main reason. I've been hearing rumors that if SMI cannot get Circuit of the Americas, cannot purchase that racetrack, they will move that date over to Sonoma and run a day race at the carousel layout. That's been the big rumor, that SMI might go that direction if they can't purchase Circuit of the Americas for next season. Because, as you know, Bruton and Marcus have been major players in the whole financial troubles of Circuit of the Americas. They're trying to buy that racetrack out in its entirety and maybe convert the thing over to a downgrade, I guess you could say, from FIA Grade 1 status, because quite frankly it does not make for good stock car racing. So I think that in many ways that would be a good thing for the racetrack, at least, a road course in America, attracting American motorsports and getting more viewership onto the racetrack, and maybe not having as many financial issues with attendance and that sort of thing. So right now it looks like if SMI can't get Circuit of the Americas, we might have a race on the original carousel layout of Sonoma Raceway. But unless Sonoma scores 2 dates, we're going to be using the short course, I believe, for the foreseeable future. And I'll keep you posted on the Circuit of the Americas story as well as that situation evolves. Question number 3, could NASCAR ever hold a cup race at my home track of Portland International Raceway? So, that's a very great racetrack, a road course that houses IndyCar every single season. It also had the Camping World Truck Series years ago, Winston West, all that sort of thing. It produces good races, and what I like about that road course in particular is there really isn't that much runoff. Your runoff is the dirt, and the walls aren't very close either, so you have essentially a wide open field to run onto, except for the back straightaway where that right side wall is really close to you. But it's a very fun racetrack. It has rhythm to it, very tight turn 1 passing zone with that chicane that they put in the last 30 or so years. So it's a fun racetrack. I'd like to see NASCAR go there for one simple reason. We don't have any races up in the northwest of the U.S. I have no idea why we don't. It's an entire marketplace that we're skipping. But if we had to have a race up there, which I believe that we should, Portland is high up on the list of a racetrack that I would like to see. So I think that NASCAR would be very willing to do so, and they have been actually talking with the facility about potentially getting a race there next season because NASCAR is looking to expand their viewership areas for the 2022 season, along with the next generation car coming in. So it would be very interesting to see NASCAR head up to Portland for the 2022 season. It is not out of the question of possibilities. Follow-up question, if NASCAR uses the IndyCar configuration of Watkins Glen, how do you think the racing is going to be like? I think that layout, it's very great. In my opinion, there's no such thing as a bad layout at Watkins Glen. But I don't exactly think that it fits for our stock cars. It fits perfectly for an event like the 6 Hours of the Glen or the former IndyCar Grand Prix of Watkins Glen. It worked out very well. But my only problem with running stock cars on that layout is it kind of eliminates the turn 6 passing zone because of how hard the braking zone is right there. Because turn 6, when you run straight from the carousel turn of turn 5 down into turn 6, you have to get pretty hard onto the binders to enter turn 6, and that opens up a passing zone. But when you have the smaller braking zones through the boot layout, that kind of eliminates such a great passing zone that turn 6 is, because the way Watkins Glen is set up, quite frankly, every turn on that racetrack except for the S's, you can make a pass on the short course. Whether it be down to turn 1 or entering the chicane, entering the carousel, turn 6, turn 7, all of it you can make a pass on. But if we were to go to the boot, I believe a couple opportunities of passing might be eliminated because it's a little bit more difficult to pass through the boot because the racetrack kind of narrows up and your turns become a little bit less sharp. So I think it would kind of hurt the stock car racing product, but that racetrack is best suited, that layout is best suited for something like the 6 Hours of the Glen, which always puts on a good show. So I would say that layout is probably should stick to endurance racing or IndyCar racing, that sort of competition. Next question from Numi Boy, is there a possibility of the Speed Station covering IndyCar and the Cup Series for next season? I'll tell you what, we are absolutely in talks for next season's broadcast coverage. IndyCar is on the table. We will keep you posted on that. I'm not going to reveal too much so far, but stay tuned, let's just say the least, because it's going to be a fun one next year. Next question from Switchblade. Will Indianapolis 500 winner Helio Castroneves make any starts in a national division race this season? If so, what teams are he likely to drive for? So it'd be very fun to see Helio show up in one of our national divisions this season. He has a lot of experience, believe it or not, from Stock Car Brazil, and recently he's been testing SRX cars for the upcoming inaugural season. And you saw Mike Shank hanging around the garage area at Mid-Ohio of Kaulig Racing. So my bet is if Helio were to run, say, a Cup race or an Xfinity start, it would be with Kaulig for this season because they have a great relationship with AJ through sports car racing. That could carry Helio from IndyCar and his sports car relationships as well at Meyershank Racing over to Kaulig Racing. So that'd be something I'd very much like to see. In my opinion, that is where Helio would end up if he opted to run a stock car start this season in NASCAR, which I think every fan would love to see Helio Castroneves get his first career NASCAR start. Next question from RFJ. Could we see Stafford join the Truck Series schedule anytime soon? Sort of similar to that. Could we see the Truck Series race at smaller local short tracks again and become like it used to be in the 90s? So the big reason the Camping World Truck Series ran mostly local short tracks back in the day when it was first founded in 94 and 95, its first couple seasons of exhibition and then full-on points racing, is they weren't exactly sure how the trucks would handle on big speedways. And that was kind of evident when we first showed up to Daytona and the speeds were way too high. We had Bodine almost fly into the grandstands because the trucks would actually produce more lift than they did downforce because of how they were built for exclusively short track racing for the most part. So really the reason that they ran mostly short tracks was a way of building up the series from the start, getting more regional racers into it and more interested into it. Higher entry lists, I guess you could say, of having names such as the Kimmels, for instance, building trucks for Louisville and stuff like that. But I would personally love to see the Truck Series add a lot more short tracks to the schedule for next season. Something like a South Boston, go to Stafford, Elko Speedway, stuff like that. Get the series a little bit more to what it traditionally used to be. Obviously still have a good balance of racetracks. Still go to your Daytona, your Talladega, Charlotte, Atlanta. Las Vegas is a great one as well. we would still go to the larger speedways, but it might not be as saturated in a way. And you know that back straightaway turn 3 short track that they're building at Auto Club Speedway, it's been a candidate for the Truck Series schedule as well, because it will essentially become Auto Club Speedway's way of having regional racing at the track, stuff like ARCA, and then, potentially the Truck Series, more like late model style racing, a way to make money on, weekends that aren't NASCAR weekends, because it's not like you can use the 2-mile oval all the time. But more on the side of local short tracks, I would love to see a resurgence of that in the Camping World Truck Series. Like I said, we'd still have the balance of super speedways, road courses, short tracks, dirt tracks, everything you'd want. By the way, local dirt tracks is a great option too. But that sort of progression for the Camping World Truck Series is absolutely something I'd like to see, and I think it is something that we could see. Stafford's been gaining a lot of attention lately because of SRX competition that will be ran there this season, so maybe it's a natural progression for Stafford Speedway to become a part of NASCAR's national divisions, because it's been putting on fantastic shows in the Wheel and Modified Tour for decades so far, so really it would be a natural progression to get it onto a national divisions schedule. And it's even actually been a candidate, believe it or not, for the All-Star race next season, as NASCAR looks to potentially move the All-Star race to a short track and expose more regional racing to big-name drivers, because it's not like the All-Star race has 40-some cars. It has traditionally around 25 or so over the last couple of seasons, so it might be a great way to bring a Stafford Speedway type track up to the Cup level, is hold the Open and All-Star races at a facility such as that. And so, folks, that pretty much does it for episode number 14 of Post Tech. We hope that you've enjoyed it. The next time you'll be seeing us will be for yet again a full NASCAR Cup Series broadcast of Foxwoods Resort Casino 301 from Loudon. We're back on the oval this weekend. The Truck Series ran the road course. The Cup Series is going to run the oval. Next weekend, the Cup Series is going to run the road course at Loudon, while the Truckers go up to run at Watkins Glen. So it's a standalone event for the Camping World Truck Series. So it ought to be a fun weekend. I've been hearing rumors that SMI is going to change up the layout just a little bit at the Loudon Road Course for the Cup Series race because of how difficult it was to pass during the Truck Series event. So we might be seeing some changes come next weekend when we show up for the NASCAR Cup Series ISM Connect event as the Cup Series take on the road course for the second ever time. And so we'll be seeing you this weekend in Loudon, New Hampshire at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the NASCAR Cup Series. We'll see you then.